Hey, welcome. Today it's just sort of a fun coding exercise looking to do. Um, Looking for sort of creating this layout component I had in mind. I'll talk a little bit more about it later. But yeah, I thought we would just have some fun. You can see how I code things. This isn't really intended to be a pre-planned tutorial or anything. But yeah, looking to just have some fun, see if we can all learn some things along the way. So yeah, I'll start going here. So what I'm looking to create is a layout component, and I'm planning to use Chakra UI. And there's already some layout components here that might mostly already do what we want, but yeah, we'll see. What I'm looking for is something that basically allows for putting, like just dropping components into a layout and sort of having it automatically manage being responsive and looking good all at the same time without requiring like any extra work. So if I can, have the components stack horizontally to start, like on larger screens, with an even amount of spacing between each component, and then when you resize the screen, make it smaller, have the components wrap around so they stack vertically as well as horizontally, but also have consistent spacing. That would be great. And then especially if on the smallest sizes, like say a phone, everything stacks vertically, but they take up the full width of the container. So it's what I have in mind. It's something I've sort of created before using Material UI in a different project, but it was a lot different, and I want to take another crack at it. I haven't done this ahead of time. I don't know what it's going to look like. So we'll all be learning together, I guess. And I wanted to just start a new project, so I was like, all right, we'll just use Next.js, which I think makes it easy to get started. So we will navigate to the right directory, npx create next app. This will create everything we need to get a new, basically React project going. Let's call it layout experiments. And we'll let this thing do its downloading. Shouldn't take long. I think that's all we need to do on the next side to get going. Yeah, so we would just then npm run next dev. So it tells me right here, npm run dev. I'm actually going to do that. No, we'll do it here. npm run dev. We need to cd into our directory. Yeah, so we've done that. The next step would be, looks like we got it running. I wasn't sure if I had something on that port already, but it doesn't look like it. Oh wait, somebody's telling me I don't have any chat set up. That wasn't intentional. Who turned chat off? Let me see. I know everyone wants to chat right now, so I don't know how to turn. Oh, here we go. I got it. All right, it should be on now. Should be chat. Yeah, so you can chat me up apparently. Okay. So we have Next.js running. Let's just check it out. I like to make sure we have it running. We'll open up our dev tools here. Local host port 3000. Yeah, sweet. Looks like we're all working well. Now we can get into the next part, which is getting Chakra UI installed. So that's pretty easy. I don't recommend just copying text off of web pages if you're really doing a production install here, because it could say anything. It could use Unicode to sort of hide what it's really saying. So it's not a good idea to just copy and paste this into a terminal, but I'm going to be bad right now since I don't plan on running a production product off this project. So we will navigate to the correct directory and then run our project here. So start it downloading. All right, so we should have Chakra UI installed, which also brings along a motion dependency, which is fine, I suppose. That's what we need to do our job here. So next thing is we want to set up Chakra UI, which means we need to set up the provider. The provider is it's essentially just a context that is accessible to your entire app so that Chakra UI can store state project wide for like maintaining things. I would assume for maintaining things like the dialogues and stuff, like is the dialogue open or whatever, that kind of thing. But yeah, so it even gives us instructions right here for Next.js. So we want to go to pages app.js since we're doing this in JavaScript. So pages app.js, and we want we actually just want this whole thing, it looks like. So we're going to paste the whole thing, and sure, we'll keep our global styles file for now. Let's refresh that, see, okay, no issues. Everything looks fine. Now we can go and actually start building something. So what I like to do first is just get something on the screen that I can manipulate. So we're going to do that next. So we will open up our index page, and I'm going to rename this index.jsx because, well, mainly because I didn't configure Emacs correctly for .js files to automatically detect JSX and render them correctly. So that's really the main reason. So we'll just rename index.js to index.jsx. We'll see. All right, so that is not what I wanted. Let's try this again. All right, we're looking good still. So now we have our page here, and I really don't care about these styles. I don't care about any of this. We're just going to delete it. We're just going to say hi for now. Well, okay, it doesn't really want me to do that. Let's try this. Okay, yeah, great. So hi, we're working, we're in progress. Now let's get I'm thinking a few different components on here so we can see how they play together. So let's start with just a button. So we will copy this over. So this will give us a button. We'll just put a button here. All right, I'm just reloading this file. So, all right, we get correct indentation. Oh, I guess we get 4 spaces. That'll be nice. Everybody wants that, right? 4 space tabs, everybody's favorite. Anyway, so let's see if we have our button now. Hey, great, we have a button. Let's grab a couple other ones. I want to see definitely an input. So we just need to also we need to include our input here. Input, actually it'll just look like that. And what else should we have? I think we need to have a few things. Yeah, for now this is fine. Let's just take that, and we want a bunch of them just to give us something to work with. All right, so now now we actually have something on the screen to work with. And as you can see, it's not currently doing what we want. So my first task, I think, will be to get a container around these and get them going in a horizontal stacking. So I know Chakra UI, and so the reason I'm doing that is I'm just trying to make some forward progress towards what I'm aiming for. Don't know if it'll be, the final answer in the end, but yeah, we'll get started with that, I think. So I know we have a stack component in Chakra UI that essentially does a lot of what we want. So I think we'll just start with that. Let's see. So horizontal stack, that does what we want, but does it do wrapping? I don't know. Let's find out. H stack. So we will just make our empty component here into a horizontal stack. And let's see. Okay, cool. So I see we have no wrapping. So this is still better. This is more like what I want. We have even spacing between all of these components. But I want to have these components wrap when they reach the end. Now there's two potential issues with this. So the first is, what's going to prevent all of these components from just getting smaller and smaller? At some point they reach a minimum size based on some content or padding, or basically, and we're seeing that about here. But we don't want our button overflowing like that. So that's number one issue, is we need these inner components to have a minimum width set to them. The second issue is we need things to actually wrap. They don't wrap right now. It doesn't look like. So let's go with, we already know that they should wrap at this point. So let's see if there's a simple way to turn on wrapping. Let's see, align, justify. I'm not seeing, let's do a, should wrap children. Oh, perfect. Maybe perfect. Let's see what happens. So, should wrap children. Well, let's spell it right. Okay, should wrap children. Aha, that did something, but not at all what we wanted. Yeah, that is interesting. Okay. What about just wrap then? Yeah, I could spend some more time to understand what these actually do, and I might do that if this doesn't work. But yeah, so that also does not do what I was looking for. So next I'm going to check out the flex component, and we'll do the same thing. Maybe that's all we need is flex wrap. The question then becomes, if we use this flex box, how do we get even spacing between our components? We shall find out. I know there are CSS properties that we could use to achieve some of this, and I'm sure that's what's getting used behind the scenes, but I'm just going to try to figure it out this way. So if we instead change this to a flex, and we'd also need to import a flex. All right, so we have flex, and let's just go flex wrap. What does that look like? Interesting. I'm wondering if we actually need to tackle the other problem first. So I'm going to undo this, put it back to our HStack wrap, and take a look at what this is implemented as. So this is a flex box, align item center, flex direction row, word wrap. No, that's not what we want. What if we do flex wrap wrap. Aha, interesting. That's also not what we want. So let's go back. I think what we're going to do next is sort of leave that because I'm not thinking of a good solution there. But what we do, I think, need is a container. So containers are used to constrain a content's width to the current breakpoint while keeping it fluid. Oh, so that's definitely what we want at the smaller sizes. Yeah, sets the max width of the content to 60K. Oh, this might be what we want all around. So let's find out. So this could be interesting to see how this gets implemented, because what we could do is have our final layout component wrap all of the children with container elements, which I'm not sure if that compiles down to separate components. That could be a performance issue, but we're not going to worry about that for now. So I put that one in a container. Oh yeah, all right. So that's already looking much better. So let's also do our input in a container, and then we will get rid of these and add a few more. I know this looks ugly, but that's how things start. Okay, interesting. So it doesn't set, I wonder if there's a way we can use this to set to set the size of the container used. Aha. All right, so before we paste all those in, just gonna undo that. So container max W. Interesting. So it's container.md. Let's see what that does. I don't know. I think we're on the right track though. All right, so container.md. Aha, yes. So now, as you can see, our text box is not scrunched. We can actually type stuff in it and see it. One thing I'm not liking about this is our button looks like it needs to be full width for its container. And I'm not sure if there's a way directly in Chakra UI to make that happen. Like, I know we could look up our button component. So let's see, button. So I bet you this has a property, if I remember right. Let's see. Is active, is full width. Yeah, so if we did that, I bet, yeah, so it takes up this full container. The thing is, I don't want to have to add properties like this to my child components. Like in the end, I want a component that looks like this. Maybe, yeah, we'll look at what I'm imagining. So I want to be like, say, I don't know if this is the right name for it in the end, but we'll call it this for now. So we'll call it fluid layout. And I want to be able to just put a button in here and input and not have to do any extra styling on these inner components. Like, I want my fluid layout component to magically take care of everything. And so that's why I don't want to have to put is full width on the button here. But for now, I want to focus on trying to get our layout to work the way I want it to. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and we'll figure out how to deal with this situation later. All right, cool. So let's take this. We'll copy and paste it a couple times here. And now we're upset because fluid layout isn't defined. We'll just fix that. Aha, okay. So this is where, okay, so what I don't want, it's like I don't want max width in this case. I think I know what we want here. So is min width the thing? Aha, okay. So what we really need, we're going to have breakpoints in here. But for this, for now, we'll do min width equals let's see. Go back to, oh, what is this? Wrap. Wrap is a layout component that adds defined space between children. It wraps its children automatically if there isn't enough space. Oh, hey, that's exactly what we want. But, oh, cool. Oh, interesting. Wrap and wrap item. So it's basically like what we're doing. Okay, cool. This actually could be what we're going for. I just stumbled upon that. But that's fine. First, I'm getting distracted. Let us figure out our container width here. Container size. Set the size of the container, use the max. So min width is not that. So if I just did, I wonder if I can just do then medium, because they looked really big. Nah, it's still the same thing. What about small? All right, that's a little smaller. Sure, whatever. We want it to overflow here anyways, so. All right, so now let's, I want to take a look at this wrap. Composes the box and renders the UL tag. Interesting. Interesting. Let's see. I'm curious to see how this works. Oh yeah, so this looks like it's kind of doing what we want it to do. Yeah, wrapping. Let's see, are we gonna, oh, it's just exactly what we want it to do, except at this point. So, now that we've explored other options, looks like this option is even better. I like that. I mean, who doesn't like even better, right? The joys of having a less supported operating system. My Radeon display drivers are currently glitching out a bit, but I know the workaround. You just switch the refresh rate back and forth, and then everything's good. And I'm sure you don't notice anything different. And I can turn up the music to cover for my... Anyways, I'm actually done, so we're all good there now. Yeah, so let's... I don't want to lose this progress that I've already made. So I'm going to like store this. And I'm going to paste it back in here. But we're going to change some of these things. So we want wrap and wrap item. So we'll come up here, wrap item. And then we're going to change the H stack to a wrap. If you can't see, if you didn't see, it's down here in the bottom. This is the Emacs mode line. I just ran the command to replace string and region. So yeah, now we have wrap. That sounds good. I don't know any good wraps. Well, I do, but I can't really do them myself. So we want to do, I don't know what that was. We want to do the same thing with the container here and convert that to a wrap item. And yeah, let's just save it and see what we get. Interesting. I don't know why we're getting a little bit of scroll here, but that's okay. I think we made progress. This is really interesting. I'm not quite sure if I was imagining putting these things in list items, but maybe that's the right way to do it. I guess it depends on how you look at it, but yeah, so we have these list items. Interesting. It's really, what happens if we, okay. So right now we just have really big items. Let's see. So what I want to do now, yeah, this is doing almost exactly what I want. The only thing it's not doing that I want is when it gets down to here where the components are stacking just vertically, they should be taking up the full width here. It's not doing that, but that's okay. So what I would look at next is Well, let's see. Do we have? Oh yeah, we have even spacing. The This is also different too, but I think it's better. So in the horizontal stack that we were using, if you remember, it was centering these elements, so it always took up the full length of the line. I don't think that's what we want because we have these static width subcomponents here. Um, you could get like some weird, if you did centering, it would look weird, I think. But this keeps even spacing. So the next thing would be, I don't remember the syntax off the top of my head, but we have these responsive styles. And so we have our breakpoints, small, medium, large. Okay. So it looks like small is 30M. Is that already what I'm using? Yeah, so let's see, our button container. Button container. Let me see what our code says. Oh, okay, we're not. So min width is small. I wonder if we need that, actually. What happens if we get rid of that? Aha. Okay, so we do need that. So we want min width to be small. Or some size. It doesn't have to be small. But yeah, okay, so that's perfect. So now we can go back here, and we just have to make it so that at the small breakpoint, we switch to using the full width instead of our min width as being small. It should be min width like 100% or something. So we can pass in, I think there's like an array syntax. Yeah, so font size, okay, so small is the first one, yeah. So I think all we have to do is replace this with an object. So now, or not an object, but just letting us write arbitrary JavaScript here in the property, then an array, and then our first breakpoint, we want it to be 100%. So let's see. I always forget exactly how to do this, but we'll try something like that. I think that should work. I'm just gonna get rid of this and substitute this in, and then we'll duplicate it. All right, cool. Let's see what we get. We get, I don't have why can't I inspect things? Let's try again. Oh, hey, there it is. I don't know, Chrome, stop being buggy. Whoa. I don't know, I guess Chrome wants to really be buggy and not have that. All right, there we go. Hey, thank you for not being so buggy. All right, cool. So now, aha, yeah, look at that. See? It's 100% width at our small breakpoint now. Now it looks like, oh, that's right. This is interesting. So what we're actually wanting to do is at double the width of our components here is when we want them to take the full width potentially. That could be some really weirdly long components though. So I think we're not going to do that. We're just going to leave it like this. Yeah, so now if we're like, hey, let's look at a phone, some random phone. Oh, look, hey, they stretch the whole width. And of course, we can put a padding or a margin or whatever we want around there. But yeah, now we got, this is what I was looking for. So I'm happy. So we can make this bigger so we can see. Yes, exactly. So now we got to do the next fun part, which is converting this. Wow, I am not a fan of this Chromium bug. All right, let's try that. All right, we still have our dev tools. Okay, so now there's a couple issues. So number one is our button. We're still passing in the is full width. It's not something that I want to do. I want all of these components to expand as much as they can to their container. So like if we go in the inspector here, our what we would need to do is have basically some CSS that cascades down to the child elements and sets their is whatever it needs to be is full width. So we can look at this one. So this button, we passed is full width, which looks like it adds a oh wow, we got all these nice variables here. That is great. Oh, so it just adds a width 100%. That's basically what we want to do, but from the parent context. So there's two different ways that we could handle this. If we were designing like our own component library, maybe we decide we want all of these child components to expand all the time and constrain sizes by the layout. That's actually that's actually my preference. Would be by default all components expand to fill their container, because then you can always use containers to constrain things. But if you don't expand by default, you have to somehow pass that down, cascade that down, and it's not the end of the world, but I don't know if it feels ideal to me. So what we're going to have to do is figure out some way to apply width 100% to components that are children of another component. You know, I bet there is a way to do this in Chakra UI. I'm actually not sure off the top of my head. You know, if anybody listening knows how to do that in Chakra UI, let me know. It would be pretty straightforward in CSS, and you know, we might have to resort to that. But yeah, I'm gonna do a little bit of looking at our, hopefully this doesn't make you sick, browsing through these. Yeah, this is an interesting one. We could also, I'm wondering if this would be an interesting case. You know what? I think this might be what we do. So we could do like global styles and just make buttons by default go 100% width. But let's say we can't do that for some reason. Are there other solutions? There are. So what we could do is, this is full width property. We could apply it to the children from the layout, like this property itself. I'm trying to think if I prefer that or not. It definitely has potential drawbacks, but you know, like what if I wanted to have a not full width button for some reason? And I wouldn't want my layout to override that and make it full width. But what we could do is pass it in before. I know I'm talking abstractly right now. So let's go down here to our fluid layout. What we could do here is when we're rendering, like in the render function for fluid layout, we could iterate over each of the children and pass in, I'm trying to remember the syntax for this, but essentially something like we could pass in our own props to each of the child elements, and we could pass them in so that the child elements properties take precedence over what we pass in. That way, the user of this fluid layout doesn't have to worry about us overriding things they want to do. That's like in my book, that's a principal sin. You never want to do that. Almost never. There's probably a case, but I think it always leads to massive problems when you try to control something else. Like, you should not be controlling something else. Or at least you should do it in a transparent way that can be overridden without requiring anything special. Otherwise, it sort of breaks the contract between these components, and that leads to some really nasty code in the long run. Okay, so I think I'm pretty happy with this, what we have now. I'm still a little bit unsure about, there's still some things we could improve, but let's just start by actually implementing what we have so far. So we'll just do const fluid. Well, actually, we already have that down here. So, oh no, we don't. This is just the body. So const fluid layout. And we're not going to worry about props or whatever we're passing in. We're just going to be like, let's render this component. All right, cool. So we have a fluid layout component. Now we don't need this anymore. These are our children. So now, yeah. So if you can't tell, this is my sort of bottom-up style programming. So I just copy and pasted the content, and then I'm going through this body, and I'm replacing it with what we actually need to render. So the right way to do it would be to put this in here. So we have our wrap items, and we want to pass in our children. All right, so now what we need to look at is rendering out these children. I always forget, I think React map children. So children, there's like a special react.children.map. Yeah, that's what it is. Just put the whole, yeah, okay. So it's not like just a normal .map on the children, because we need to, we want to do things like clone element, so that we can inject our own properties, basically. We'll get to that. So let's see, import React from React. I don't know why that seems like that should have been imported already. But it wasn't. Okay, so now what we will do is I'll come in here and in my wrap, and let's add some code. We'll do react.children.map, children, child. That is, that's interesting syntax. Oh, I see. Okay. So this is the children that we're passing in here, and this is the function that we're going to map over the children with. So children would be an array of components, generally. I think always? Nodes? I forget the technical term, but yeah. So now inside here is where we can put our wrap item. So I think to start, what we can do is not clone the child. We'll just do child. And then we'll probably get an issue with this, but that's okay. So I'm going to now take our code there, and I want to save it for later just in case, so we'll comment that out. So let's see. We want to actually use our fluid layout. I should have kept that other. I should have kept the fluid layout code that we wanted to use, but this will be fine. So inside our fluid layout, so inside fluid layout, let's add a button and input. Just make it easier to see our input here. We'll just do that. Now, let's see what happens. All right, so sweet. Looks like so far we are working except for, yeah, so we're working except for it taking full width or except for the button taking the full width. And for this, oh, interesting. This input is also not behaving the way I was expecting. Are we missing anything? Wrap item? No. Oh, that's really interesting. But I think what we'll do first is see what happens if we clone this element. So instead of just injecting the child, react.clone element, child, and then we can do, I think it's, what was it, is full width true? I think I'm doing that right. I don't know, we'll find out. Yeah, that should be right. Except now I don't want that there. Why are we upset? So we have a syntax error. Interesting. Oh, okay. So, I need to pass that in as an object, it looks like. Okay. I know. I still am not sure about that, but let's see what happens. Yeah. Objects are not valid as a React child. Maybe that, that was the issue. Okay. Aha, okay. Aha, look at that. Now these are full width. Aha, and now it does exactly what we want, I think. Let me see, yep, exactly. So if we go, let's make this a, yeah, so it takes up the full width now. So now we can just go like this, boop, boop. Add a few more, boom, and go like that, and they'll wrap around. Perfect. Looks like we have some error. Oh, maybe that was the previous error. But yeah, I think we're looking good. Oh, interesting. Okay, so actually we do have an issue. React does not recognize the is full width prop on a DOM element. So this is probably, I'm guessing this is an issue with our input here. Oh no, because those look like they, that's really interesting. I'm not actually sure where that's coming from. Let's see what the input, if our input has a full, input also has is full width. If true, the input element will span the full width of its parent. Deprecated. This component defaults to 100% width. Please use the prop's max width or width to configure. Aha, okay. Yeah, this is what I was concerned about with our approach here of injecting the is full width prop. I don't know if I explained this. Maybe I should explain this code a little better. Okay, so React.clone element. Why are we cloning the child element? Why are we not just modifying it or just applying this prop to it? Like, what if we went like, you know, why can't we do something like something really simple like that? Just use it. There's multiple issues with this. Number one is child is, I guess it would be lowercase, so that should be a first indication. Child is not a type of component, it is a component. So we need to use a React API to interact with it. But why are we cloning it, and is that bad? So we are cloning an element. React created an element, it gets to this code, and it creates a new element. That's because everything in React is pure, or at least components are. Components are pure. You can't modify a component ever. The output you get when you render cannot be modified. Now, we can take that output as a component per se, or whatever. I guess it's not output at that point. But we can take a component and we can extend it or modify it and then do it as a new component, a new element, I guess. Components, the element's a more general term. So we can take an element, we can create a new one based on the original one with our changes. And so in that way, we don't modify the original one. And that's important for the internal workings of React itself. And so that's why they provide us this clone element API. And this API allows us to add our own properties. So what we're saying here is take the original child and apply the is full width true property to it. And we'll get a new element. Now, there's potentially an issue with this that I had mentioned earlier. What if I went to this button and did is full width equals false? What's going to happen? Which full width will win out? As you can see here, the one that we added. And I really don't like that. That is not at all a solution that I want, because maybe there are cases where I don't want it to be full width. I don't know what that is, and it's fine for now. I'm not going to worry too much about it, but I could see that being a problem. And, you know, this is exactly what I was talking about. I don't like things to sort of, I call this a leaky abstraction. It's taking its abstraction and forcing it down the throat of some other, you know, component. I guess that was pretty violent, but kind of feels like that sometimes when you have to deal with APIs like this. But yeah, so that's what this is all about, this clone element thing. And what we're seeing here, so going back to this situation, is full width, we shouldn't be passing it to the input elements, but we are. We can pass it to button elements, but we can't pass it to input elements. So that makes me think, you know, there's a number of solutions. One, we could get around a lot of this just by using CSS, cascading this property down. The downside of that would be it's not really integrated into Chakra UI anymore, and you'd have to like work around it inside your components. So I don't love that idea. It's definitely possible, and it might be fine. But I think what might be better is to look at some other properties. So is full width, probably just, yeah, if we looked it up. It just sets the width to 100%. So what if instead of doing that, we do like it says, use width and set it to just 100%. What happens then? Come on, show me my dev tools. Okay, cool. So now it looks like, we'll refresh just to make sure. But yeah, that warning has gone away and it is behaving mostly the way we want. Aha, this is interesting. This is why, I was wondering why we had the scroll bar here. So we're setting width to be 100%, but that is apparently not 100% of, yeah, so what we should do here, max, let's try max, yeah, so this is also an interesting thing. So I'm curious to see how that worked when we had the is full width true. No, okay, so it was the same problem. So the problem is we're setting our is full width, or our width, you know, to be 100%. So then you have to ask 100% of what? And what's happening here, I believe, is we're setting the width of these items to be 100% of the page width, or the container, I guess. And the container is min width 100%. And that does not take into account our borders and paddings and things like that. I believe that's what's going on. Which is definitely an issue I did not want to run into. So, yeah, okay. This is what we do. We problem solve. We have to debug, right? I would love to know if anybody listening has any brilliant ideas on how you handle this situation. I do have some ideas of how I've handled this in the past. So the first thing I do is try to find out which element is overflowing and causing the scroll bar to appear. So we can look at, maybe it's even better to, interesting. It's a really interesting case. So I noticed when I have it in the mobile view here, we don't have this issue anymore. I can't move it right or left. It fits. So it's not related to that. I wonder, we can check like maybe different sized phones. Nope, it's definitely not. Yeah, and in responsive mode, we don't have that issue. Well, I still want to figure out what's going on, so we're going to do that. Maybe it doesn't matter, but yeah. So let's see, 460 pixels, 468. So we can see right here where the issue is. Our window is only 460 pixels wide, but this child of it, the UL, is 468 pixels wide. And so this is overflowing this. Now, what I would think to do here is go, what if we set a max width of 100%? And look at that. It all works. Yep, no more scroll bar. And let's just make sure. Oh yeah, we get our normal wrapping across here. Yep. Okay, cool, great. So we have that fixed. All we need to do then is set max width to 100% on our wrap. Let's do that. Delete my custom one here just to make sure. That did not work. Maybe I need to... oh, interesting. So let's see. I set max width to 100%, but I do not see that being passed through. Max width. No, I don't want to search there. Is there a way yet to search these properties? Doesn't look like it. Yeah, because what I'm seeing here is there's no max width being set to 100% like I was expecting. Yeah, because if we do that, it fixes again. So let's see. Max width. Next thing I do in these situations is RTFM, as they say. So let's see what the documentation says for wrap. So let's see. Wrap. No max width property. Does this compose box? Oh, it does composes the box component. So if it's composing the box component, why can I not set max width equals, yeah, box max width equals small? This is interesting. Well, I don't know the answer to that. I'm sure I can find out later, but yeah, it seems like it should be passing it through to here, but it's not. Anyways, this is pretty close to what I was hoping for. So now we could try it out. Let's say we wanted to add something else. What is an editable? Sounds cool. Oh yeah. I mean, I've heard of never mind. I was gonna say something else, but editable example. Yeah, let's add a editable and just see if it works. I have no idea if this is gonna work, but if we did things right, it should just work. So let's see. Here's our fluid layout. And let's go here. Aha, look at that. It works mostly. Looks like there's some issues with the way the editable is doing its padding. So it looks like there's definitely some issues that would have to be worked out with some of these potential subcomponents. But in general, this is looking really great. Yeah, so we can come here and yeah, all working well. Been talking too much. I had to take a drink, you know. That's how I always know if I've been talking too much. Happens too much, really. But yeah, so I don't know what I guess we can look at the code here, and you know, I don't know exactly, you know, how useful this has been, or you know, if it's something that you learn from, or it's just enjoyable to watch. I don't know how that would be the case, but you know, and I don't know, maybe I glossed over too many things, whatever. I guess there's a lot of potential criticisms, but yeah, I hope this has been useful. So we'll just take one more look at, I think, one more assessment of what we have and how we got here. So we set out with the goal to build this fluid-like layout, and we mostly achieved it. There's some issues with it, but I feel pretty good about what we did. There's some parts I don't like, which I guess we'll get into when I look at it more. But yeah, so it's pretty simple. You just have a fluid layout, and then you can just drop stuff in it, and it mostly just works. That's what I wanted. I love that. I really want to be able to put things, like, you know, sort of put things on the screen and have them look good and work good without having to write custom solutions. Now it's fine if I'm like writing a custom solution that gets used over and over again, maybe, because then it's no longer a custom solution. But I mean, like, I don't want to be writing specific CSS tweaks for every little thing I do. And so this is one of those things that I look for, is layout components like this. And Chakra UI has some good ones to start with, for sure, which I usually use. But I thought it'd be fun to try this out. So yeah, I like how this works. We could just put our stuff in here and it all just works. This is our fluid layout component, which has turned out to be really simple. And you know, this is the mapping over React Children is not something that maybe you see all that often. So, but yeah, that's how you want to do it. You don't want to do, yeah, just for the record, you really want to do children.map. That will not always work the way you're expecting. So this is the right way to do it. And it's also, I like the Chakra UI has these breakpoints that we can just use in an array here. Like I had to do this in Material UI, and it was a lot more difficult because it doesn't have that feature. So that's great. I love that, actually. This I don't love. This is my least favorite part, where we're setting the width and basically overriding whatever the component sets as its width. There's definitely ways we could do that better. But yeah, that's what we have right now. It's pretty simple. It creates a list of components, which I hadn't even thought of doing ahead of time, but seems generally semantically correct. It is a list of items, so I'm cool with that. Yeah, so I like how also I've just had this big blank space up here that I haven't used the whole time. You know, the power of Emacs. Anyway, so that's about all I've got here. Yeah, hope everyone has a good day, and I'll see y'all later. I hope. That sounds good, right?